It says turn camera on, but it's not working. What the hell?
Oh my god, come on.
Shh, Bobby, behave yourself.
You. Bobby, behave yourself. There was a little country western British accent.
Logitech, correct. Microphone is wrong. Why does Skype do this every single time, Bobby?
I don't know, Toby. We could always just switch to Discord if you want.
All right, here I am. See, I had to update the settings because Skype updated, and it's like, duh, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
It's Microsoft, man.
My name is Skype, and I don't know. Every day I need to update everything because my name is Skype. It's bollocks, Bobby.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of the Nintendo PlayStation Podcast. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by my best friend in all the land, Mr. Toby Thornton.
You got it right this time, Bobby. Thank you.
What do you got it right this time?
Because last week you got it wrong. You got it 100% wrong. So,
what do you mean? What part did I get wrong?
You said I wasn't your best friend in all the land, Bobby.
Listen, I did this for the show. Behind the scenes, you and I are still having issues.
Oh, is that it? Is that how it is? Maybe we should go to counselling, Bobby.
We probably should. What are you doing?
Closing a door.
Would you?
I'm reaching around the corner.
Yeah, stay in camera view. When you say you're ready to go, you're ready to go.
Yeah, but look, I'm just reaching.
Yeah, well, you're reaching out of the frame.
I'm reaching around, Bobby, okay?
Yeah, you like to reach around. I know that. I
do.
I know from experience. How you been, Toby?
Oh, I just got a text message.
Oh, God. What?
Right, hang on. This is like a scheduling thing.
Are you serious right now?
No, yeah, I'm serious.
It's an hour. You can't wait an hour?
This is important, Bobby.
And I'm not important?
No, not really.
Oh, you piece of trash. Oh my God, you're garbage. You are garbage all day long.
All right, carry on. Let's just go. Let's just do this.
You scumbag. You are a real scumbag.
What are you geeking out about, Bobby?
Hold on, wait. What are you doing right now?
Let's get this train rolling.
What are you doing right now? Slow down. All right? Let's. What is happening right now? You're like running 100 miles an hour. You're like a little kid running ahead of their parents, and I'm like, "Come here, Toby." Toby, no, stop. And you're just running, man. It's like you'll find out what that's like one day with Evie. Let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our Geek Outs. I swear to God, I'm getting ready to hang this call and walk away.
I'm going to give you a mental breakdown, Bobby.
What is happening right now?
What are you eating anyway?
I got a holes in my mouth because my throat was a little congestion, so I wanted to kind of kick it out before I...
You've been deep throating a banana or something, haven't you, Bobby? Need to soothe that because you went too deep.
Oh my God, what is happening right now?
I know what you get up to, man. I mean, it's alright, everyone knows.
You know, F you, man. F you. I think we're probably... Are we geeking about the same thing?
I don't know. What are you geeking at?
All right, well, okay, let's do this first. We're going to have a show geek out.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a personal geek out. How about that? Is that fair? Okay.
Yeah, it's fair.
So if you're listening to this right now, there's something about to happen. And this was something that we teased a little bit on Twitter last week. we're recording this Sunday the 11th. It actually won't air until the 18th next week. But we've started the ball rolling to bring you this show every single week now. So every week, this show will go weekly like it was originally. I would say Toby's making sacrifices, but apparently it's falling all on my shoulders because...
Look, I asked Bobby if he could get up a little bit earlier.
Earlier.
So we could record 2 episodes.
So the idea is what we're going to do is we're going to record 2 episodes every other Sunday. So then this way, we'll bring you an episode every single week. And I go to Toby and I'm like, hey man, the people want this. They've been tweeting at us. We did the poll. The poll was overwhelmingly a yes. The only no votes were probably from Toby and Karina. Everybody else was voting yes. And, so we get done the show last week, and I'm like, Toby, what's going on? You're not answering the question. You're like ignoring it. He's like, well, about that, Bobby. Would you like to, is there any way you could potentially get up earlier? And I'm like, what? And he just loses his mind, man.
You lost your mind too, man. You were in fits of laughter about that. You couldn't believe it.
I know. I was like, damn, man. Like, just for those that don't know, I get up now at like 6. Now, mind you, I get up every day typically at 5 o'clock to go to work. But it's the weekend and I'm off. So I like to try to sleep in a little bit.
Yeah, plus, and you stream the night before as well. I streamed
late the night before. Like last night I didn't go to bed till like 12:30. And so like 5 hours sleep isn't much, So anyway, I'm just like, wow, man, you're making me do this. Okay. It's fine.
Have you seen my worm?
I I have seen your worm.
My little worm.
Your little wiggle.
Look at it. It's cute, isn't it?
For those that don't know, he's got a chicken wiggle shirt on right now.
Yeah, look at this.
Is that the one you finally found after like months and months?
Yeah. It was, I don't know, I packed it away. I was going to do something with it. I didn't do anything with it. And then I found it and I was like, oh, I remember this. I bought it like a year ago.
Is that your Geek Out?
No.
What's your Geek Out?
My Geek Out is I made a video yesterday.
Oh, God. That's why you didn't want to talk about it at the beginning.
So
you should be geeking out about that thing. That thing is not a geek outable moment.
Oh, yeah, it is. Because I had I have these, like, moments of, like, creative genius in me. And...
That's what you're calling it? That's what you call what you did?
I was at work and I was like, well, I've got some footage of Friday the 13th on my PlayStation. And I wanted to do something with it, but I couldn't think of anything to do. And then I thought, I've got an idea. And then I just did it. And it took me like 20 minutes to make that video. So...
You're sick.
Bobby, you love it.
I watched it and I was like... Okay, so I thought it was the other thing that you shared with me. The
other thing?
The thing you and Drummy are doing.
Oh, no.
So I thought that's what it was.
No.
So I started watching it, and I'm like, this is going to be awesome. Look at this. And I'm getting all into it, and I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? Like, this scares me, man. This actually... Like... Dude, it was creepy as hell. Creepy as hell.
I should have made it and put it out at Halloween or something.
That's what I'm thinking, man. You're like a couple weeks late to the party.
Yeah.
So so let's explain a little bit. So what the video is, and you can go watch it because I tweeted it out. Toby tweeted it out. It's over on Married Man Games.
Yeah, Married Man Gaming.
Yeah, Married Man Gaming. On that YouTube channel. But you're sitting there, and here's Toby, black and white. And he's talking about like being a better friend and all this stuff and a better person and like
treating people with respect.
Yeah, and it's like but he's talking like real
seriously,
but like it's a dead like it's like just no expression, like a dead look in his eyes. and it's cutscenes to the game Friday the 13th where Jason's running around killing people. And I guess you're playing Jason?
Yeah, and I'm just laughing maniacally.
Yeah, he's laughing maniacally, telling him, like, come here. He's chasing the counselors. Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible, man. Anyway. Myself, I am geeking out about my new setup. I went last week. So what happened was last Sunday, I streamed for 3 hours. And I was playing Diablo 3 with Rybo, right? So I'm playing, and I'm looking up the whole time. Now, normally it didn't bother me, because I only streamed for an hour at a clip.
It bothers me, Bobby, to see you looking up and just seeing, like, your chin the whole time.
It's a beautiful chin, man. Come on. It's a beautiful chin.
And I do worry about you, like, getting neck ache and stuff.
That's what happened. After 3 hours, my neck just started, like, kind of bothering me. And I was like, okay, this is enough of this nonsense. This gotta stop. So I was like, I was going to buy another TV and put it on my desk. And I was like, because this TV that I had over my head, it's a little big. It's like 32 inches. So it's a little big for the desk. But mindset, I used to play with it on my desk in my other setup that I used to have. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can get it to be behind my computer. So this way I'm looking at people as I'm playing. And I'm like, I couldn't find a mount. Because they don't give you measurements of like the height of the mount. Like what the TV would be from the desk up. So I couldn't figure out, can I get it back up above where it is? So I go and I buy this mount. And the thing is massive, this mount. And I'm like, oh my God, this actually works out perfectly. So what I wound up doing was taking the TV off the wall and putting it to my desk to my left. So, but because it's so high, it sits way up off the ground. Yesterday, or Friday, I did go and buy a little 19-inch TV. So now I have 4 monitors in front of me at this moment. Mm-hmm. I got the one to the right that's actually mounted to the desk. I got the one to the left that's just sitting under the big one. So I have 2 to my left. The big one that I play the game on, and then underneath of it, it's a little one, and then I have my computer in front of me.
So do you still, are you still able to raise and lower your desk?
Oh, yeah.
And so it doesn't, affect?
No, it doesn't affect nothing.
Oh, that's cool.
It doesn't affect nothing. But the idea is, when I'm streaming, now I stream, and I look at the computer, or I look at the TV to play the game. And now the chat is just underneath of the computer or under the TV.
That's handy.
So I just look down, read the chat while I'm playing, and I look back up. So when I'm playing Splatoon 2 and I get killed and I get sent back, I can glance down, check out the chat real quick, see if anybody asks me any questions, and then go right back to the game. Before, I was having to turn my whole head, look away, and then, so it's dude, I love the setup though. I love the setup.
Yeah.
So
you shared a photo of it on Instagram, right?
Well, I shared a photo on Instagram, but that was minus the additional television.
Yeah.
That I just added.
Because Mike sent me a screenshot of that, and we were discussing your setup.
Probably talking about my wire management, my cable management was horrible.
Oh yeah, it gave Mike the heebie-jeebies. He had OCD about it.
Well,
the monitors are all different sizes. The cables are a mess.
Well, yes, the monitors are different sizes, but at this point, financially, I was just like, the game plan is this. The game plan is to build a PC. Mm-hmm. And then when I build the PC, go buy 4 monitors that are all identical. Mm. And then I'll have all 4 monitors here doing my thing. That's the game plan. We'll see how it works out. But I'm not. It's not about aesthetics for me. I don't care how everybody feels about the way it looks. I'm happy with it. I love it. It's my Geek Out. Yeah, I love it.
That's the important thing, that you're happy.
You know what? You don't see it. You don't see it when I put a picture up. First off, the two little monitors, they're identical sizes.
Okay.
I can't stand you. You're a piece of garbage. What do you have? You got nothing. You got a little laptop and a stupid microphone.
Got a good laptop. This microphone is one that you used to have that you thought was awesome.
Well, I upgraded to a better microphone. While you're
disagree.
still living over there in the past.
I disagree. I think this is all right.
Yeah,
good.
all right, yeah. Just like your headset with a microphone before was all right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I pushed the button and I'm like, Toby, let's go. That's what happens. You just glide by, and then finally I'm just like, all right, Toby, we need to step it up. And then you're like, okay, I guess I'll buy something now.
Thing is, Bobby, I'm not a professional YouTuber like you.
I'm
know?
not professional
So,
either. I'm
yeah,
not
you are.
professional either. I've only got paid one time by them.
All right. Well, so you're a professional Twitch streamer now, correct?
I'm leaning. I'm trying to be.
Let's move on, Bobby. Come on.
Okay, so the idea behind this is, for the next couple of weeks, I don't think we can actually do the news segment. But here's the game plan for this. What the game plan is, because the news to me doesn't work unless it's relevant and it's up to date. I don't want to talk about news if it's 2 weeks old. So when we record 2 episodes, one episode will go up that week, and the other episode will be pre-recorded for the following week. So the episodes that are pre-recorded, we're going to basically go into an extended what you're playing thing. And then
Is that what we're doing this week?
Well, this week we're going to do, what did you grab, news articles?
Yeah, I got news, I got a topic, I got everything.
Well, the topic, yes. No, the topic we're still going to cover.
All
but
right.
because the topics are never really newsworthy to some extent. Sometimes they are, but most part.
Okay, all right. Fair
This
enough.
week's
Yeah.
this week's definitely not really newsworthy. I mean, it's more. Yeah. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not. So what I want to do is I want to jump into our topics first, and then the what you're playing afterwards. Okay. What the heck did I? Are you kidding me, dude? Are you kidding me right now?
Did you not click record, Bobby?
No. I've been recording. This is why I'm so tired of YouTube. So tired of YouTube.
What's going on?
I got a copyright claim? For what?
You're talking to me about interrupting with my text message, and you're going on about YouTube.
Because I get the email come through, and it's like, it gave me a copyright claim. Oh, God. Good Lord. Whatever.
Music?
Yeah, I can't with these people. YouTube just drives me up the wall. I'm so sick of it. Anyway, let's get back to where we're at. So let's start with my topic this week, and then we'll go to your topic, and then we'll go into what we're playing. Okay, so my topic is, if you could meet one person from Nintendo, past, future, dead, alive, doesn't matter, who would that person be and why? So I'll throw it to you first.
Oh, I had a real hard time.
I'm having a hard time too. I'm having a real hard time.
Because there's 3 people that I really love.
Well, let's
Nintendo.
do this. We'll both say who we would meet, and then we can kind of talk about why it's such a hard decision for us.
Okay. So you go first, Bobby, because I think I know who you're going to pick, and I think it's one of my picks. So if you pick first, and then I can pick.
Well, I too am having a very difficult time picking.
Yeah.
But I think I hit it earlier. And even this, I'm torn between 2, and I'll get in. I'm going to go with who I picked, and then afterwards we'll discuss a little bit. But I went with oh my God, I'm still like, this would be the worst thing ever. This would be like, I assume, trying to pick your favorite child. Like if someone said to you, like, you had to pick one to live, who's this kid that's going to live? It'd be like, I don't know, but I can't pick between them. That's probably a bad analogy. I apologize. Oh God. I would say Iwata.
Yeah.
I would say Iwata.
Yeah, I knew you'd pick that.
And I would want to meet Iwata because I feel like, first off, he was a gamer at heart. But the other thing with Iwata is, I felt like he spoke pretty good English, where I wouldn't need a translator in the room to kind of and wonder. Like there's no break in the conversation. We could just have a conversation and talk. But the other thing is because I'd love to just talk to him about the Wii U era, and the mistakes that he felt were made, and what he would have done differently, and was it all on him? Like, I know there was times where he took the whole blame and even took a massive pay cut because he shouldered the blame as a president. Yeah. But I wonder deep down if he felt like these moves were truly his, or were they implemented by the board and by the trustees and all that stuff? Because I kind of wonder sometimes how much power the president or the CEO really truly has in terms of directing the ship with something like this. Like, does he actually make the call and go, this is exactly how we're going to do things? Or is it part of a team that he has where they all talk about it and then that's the decision they make? Like, I'm always curious how that all works.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that he ultimately he has the final say.
Well, I'm sure that's what I was going to say. Like, but I'm curious.
Obviously, they come up with ideas as a committee, and he gets advice from all these different people. But I think there's a really great choice, and that was going to be my pick. It's interesting that you'd want to talk about the worst stage in his career. I mean, it's kind of like an interview of the darkest times.
Well, the thing is, and here's why, because that's the moment that I truly started to really admire him, because that's got to be because here's the thing, we can all relish in success. We can all boast our head and lift our head and be happy and excited when we're doing well. But it's how you make it through the tough moments that actually... Because if there was so many people calling for him to be fired at that time. Even people on the board were calling for him to be fired because the Wii U was so bad. He weathered that storm. And the other thing is I attribute him to so much success on the Switch, because that was all his building.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, I do wonder, with the amount of pressure that he was under at that time and all the hate that the Wii U got, imagine laying in bed at night with that on your shoulders.
Yes.
And that must affect you personally, not just, in your job, but the emotional weight that is on you from that is because Nintendo's got such a legacy, and at that time it was, they weren't in a great place.
And he has such a legacy in terms of when he came in, his first consoles were the DS and the Wii.
Exactly. He revolutionized Nintendo.
Massively successful, commercially successful consoles that he put out. And then he follows it up with two really bad ones. Now, the 3DS turned back around, but the launch of the 3DS was horrendous. And then they finally picked it up and they got momentum, and things it's a different tale now. And I think they also believed when the changes they made to the 3DS, they make changes to the Wii U and it would affect and go. But that's neither here nor there. So I would love, I wouldn't just talk about that, but I would love, that's the part that I think would intrigue me, was the bad time of how he weathered the storm and all that. So
he's just one of the most interesting people in games. I don't know if you're subscribed to Norm the Gaming Historian on YouTube.
I do. I like him.
He did a documentary about Iwata's life, and he went back to
I didn't see that,
where he studied at school and university, and his first jobs, and then how he got involved in Nintendo, at HOW and then Nintendo. and it's just so interesting learning about how he sort of got into the position he was. And they talk about how he was a programmer and how he helped games get finished, and he would completely rewrite code just to get the game right, like, because he was such a genius programmer as well as a developer, and turned out to be a leader in the end. Like, he was just an amazing man, and I would have loved to have been able to talk to him. So I think that's a really great pick.
The one thing too that astonishes me was when he passed away, the stories that started coming out about him. Yeah. And the one that always I admired and blew me away was the story about Smash. Well, there's a couple stories that really got me intrigued with him. There's two in particular. One was with Smash, where the game was in a bug nightmare, and it was in so much issues. And as CEO, he was doing his CEO duties during the day, and then at night he was going over to
it's crazy,
and working with Sakurai and working and fixing Smash, so that way it would come out on time and it wouldn't be delayed. Like, that's crazy and unheard of. You know what I mean? Like, that's like Steve Jobs. Imagine Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or one of these guys, Tim Cook, or going like, you know what, you guys are having trouble on the tech side. Let me do my stuff during the day, and then at night I'm going to go over here and help you build these phones. Like, no, it doesn't happen like that. That's crazy. Yeah. The other one too was, I'm a huge fan of the Mother series, Earthbound, and when Mother 2, Earthbound that we know it, was being made, Itoy they were having developmental issues, big developmental issues, and they went to Iwata and HAL Laboratories, and Iwata stepped in, and they showed it to Iwata, and he loved it, and they were like, "Can you fix this?" And he said, "I can."
Well, he told them that there's no way you're going to get this out unless you completely rewrite it.
Well, this is what I'm getting to. He gave them the ultimatum. He said, "I can fix it, and it'll take you 2 years to get it out. Or I can completely come in and rewrite the entire code, and you'll have it done in a year." Yeah. And they were like, "Get out of here." And he's like, "Yeah." He went in. They said, "Do what you got to do." He rewrote the entire code for the game, and in a year it was done, ready to go, and then they completed it. So,
yeah, to
me, he's just and that's where that's the things that, like, I thought about. I was like, he's such a genius, man. He's such a genius. And think about it, like, the things that we love, Nintendo Directs, that was completely his idea. Yeah. I used to love the Ask Iwatas that he used to do, where he would sit down and have conversations. Like, nobody ever did that before. Nobody interviewed their developers. Nobody sat down and talked to the people behind the scenes and be like, "Hey, where's the issues?" There's an actually interview too with Miyamoto, Itoy, and Iwata talking about the development of Mother 3, and that's a great article too, because that was supposed to originally come out on the N64, and they ran into a wall, and they changed the entire course, and then it came out on the Game Boy Advance in Japan, because apparently Emily Roberts promised me it's going to come to the Switch, but I'm waiting, Emily. Anytime, Emily. Who would you want to meet?
So I'm going to say Eiji Aonuma.
Really?
Because I am a hardcore Zelda fan. Like, you know how much I love Zelda. It's my favorite Nintendo franchise. And
I'm sorry, I thought Final Fantasy was your favorite franchise. I mean, you got all that behind you. So.
We're talking about Nintendo here, Bobby. Like, I know.
Okay. I just got confused. All right. Mr. Hardcore fan over there just confused me. I'm sorry.
So, and I was going to pick Miyamoto. I know that's an obvious pick. We'll talk about that in a minute. But for me, like, Aonuma took over Zelda, and because, like, Miyamoto had the original seed and he had a lot to do with the original games, but then Aonuma really took over the director's role, I think, Ocarina of Time onwards, and he has just sort of made that series as great as it is. Like, he sort of elevated it, and I would just love to be able to just sit down with him and talk about the design of Zelda, and especially where they went with Breath of the Wild. Like, that's such a interesting transition from traditional Zelda to more modern game design.
Yeah.
And that whole transition, I think, would be so cool to be able to talk to him and say, like, you know, why did you make those decisions, and how scary was it, like, breaking the mold in all those different ways.
Yeah.
But also just to talk about, like, the lore and the history of the franchise, and I just think that'd just be really, really awesome.
He didn't even fall on my radar at all.
No,
I didn't. Don't get me wrong. I love the guy. I think the guy's phenomenal. But he just wasn't one of the people that, like, fell on my radar. It's like, I gotta talk to him.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk Miyamoto for a second, because I know both of us probably struggled with him.
Oh yeah.
Now, the reason why I picked Iwata with no translator was almost the reason why I picked Miyamoto with a translator, because Bill Trinan is his is his translator, and I thought I'd be able to get 2 for 1 here. I'd be able to beat Bill Trinan and Miyamoto, but then I was like, no.
Yeah. That's tricky. But, like, Miyamoto, I think he's kind of just like a rock star. You know, like, if you were to meet someone that famous, like, do you think you'd actually be able to talk to him in any meaningful way, or would you just be like a babbling mess?
I think it would be, well, I know me, and I think that once I got comfortable, which probably wouldn't take that long, but with him it might take a little longer just because of the translator thing. And I would also feel like, how do you have a meaningful conversation going through somebody? And for me, it would just be like, honestly, I would just want to shake his hand and kind of move along.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wouldn't know what to ask him. There's so many things that he's done and he's created, and all these projects he's involved with, and he's even involved with the consoles. And because, like, the reason the N64 had the control stick was because of Mario, and, like, they designed their consoles around his game ideas, and it's so interesting. But I wouldn't know what to focus on with him, like, cause...
and the other reason why is because he's been so involved with Nintendo for so long. So where do you go? I mean, if I did meet him, for me, the conversation is Mario 2, Super Mario Brothers 2. I would go to I would look at him and go, what's my favorite game that this guy made? And that's probably it.
Do you think that's a bit of an insult, though? Because the game it's based on, he didn't design.
He made that game.
Did he?
Yeah.
The Doki Doki game?
Yes, he made that game.
He made that?
He made that game.
Okay, well, that's a fact that I was...
Yes. No. He made that game. He complete... So what it was
not, you know, it wasn't a Mario game, though. Like,
it wasn't a Mario game. But what happened was there was a con that would happen in Japan every single year. And I believe it was Sharp that went to him, or went to Nintendo and said, we want you to create a game to give people something to play. But Nintendo wouldn't give them Mario. And so he created Doki Doki for them. And then what happened was, it was actually so successful at the show, and they needed something for Mario 2. And they felt that Mario 2, as it was way too difficult for for us Americans, because we're kind of stupid. So they decided to dumb it down, and they took that game, reskinned it, and put it on the NES.
I mean, that's just it, though, because it's not really a Mario game, is it? They just shoehorned Mario into it, and it's like, oh, Miyamoto, my favorite thing that you've created is something you shoehorned in.
I believe no, because I believe this. I believe that moment is also what changed Nintendo's idea of gaming. You hear these stories all the time where developers will create these new IP, and Miyamoto will go in and go, like, that would be a great Star Fox game, or that would be a great, like, that Star Fox Adventures, that was supposed to be like some Dino World game, and then he went in and was like, no, we need to add Star Fox to this, and they added Star Fox to it. And they've done that multiple times throughout the years, where they go in with a new IP or a new idea, and then they reskin it to be a Mario game. So I think that helped Nintendo on many levels moving forward to kind of get that. Well, this worked with Mario 2. We're going to continue to do it. And I would also say, truthfully, Toby, that like what they accomplished with Mario 2. There are so many. I say it all the time. There's so many things in Mario 2 that carry on in future games, like the Shy Guys, like the Babams. Birdo's. She pops up occasionally. She's in Mario Aces, which is weird and another thing. Like, that's another strange thing to me. Like, why has Wart never come back in any Mario game? But all these different characters show up.
Yeah.
But also the one major piece that carries on is how the characters play. Like, Peach does a float. Luigi has that flutter jump.
Because before that, they were identical. Like, the way Luigi moves, I mean, he was he could jump a bit higher, couldn't he? I think, in, like, Lost Levels and all that. But, I don't know. I mean, you're right. Like, it is interesting.
I think the other one, the final one that I wanted to meet that I had a little bit of an issue with, but not too much, was my original president that from Nintendo was Yamauchi.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, just because
he scares me. Like,
he does, but he's just. I would love to just sit down and talk to him because he was just a ruthless president. And like, what I loved about him and his Nintendo was he went for the jugular. Like, he was a serious business person, take no prisoner, and like, I would love to talk to him about the Sega times and like what drove him to like basically just put the foot on Sega's throat and just keep pushing and not stopping. Like, because that's that time, growing up in that time and watching the two just fight with each other back and forth, and we don't have the coverage that we have today. So it's like, I'm just always curious, like, what was going on behind the scenes, man? Like, what was being said? I would love to just pick his brain. So,
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so where are we at with your topic now?
So, Bobby, I want to talk to you about Final Fantasy. If you weren't aware, Final Fantasy on my shelf.
Oh Lord, here we go.
I've got like everyone from the first one to 12 on this shelf.
Do you really?
They're all because they're like the anthologies, and you got
you
you got 6 and then 7, and like they're not the SNES ones. They're the PlayStation 1 ones. Anyway, so the other day was I think it's the 2-year anniversary stream for Final Fantasy 15. And it was abysmal. It was basically a show of bad news, the bad news show.
Yeah.
And they announced that there was supposed to be 4 new episode DLCs for Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
One of them is still coming out, but 3 of them have just been flat out cancelled. And the director of Final Fantasy 15 has left the company, and they made a statement. They said, he's leaving for personal reasons. He wants to start his own business, but it's just a bad sign,
Well, it's a bad sign because he leaves, and then they cancel all the DLC as well.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, Final Fantasy 7 remake is kind of in a development hell as it was at the moment. But that what's his name? His name is Tabata. He was the director, and he left. But what he was so great at is that Final Fantasy 15 started way back in development in 2006 as Final Fantasy Versus 13, and it was going to be a spin-off of Final Fantasy 13. And then 4 years into that project, it wasn't going anywhere. Tabata stepped in and took over the project and made it into Final Fantasy 15. So that that whole game was just a mess for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now they've cancelled anything else to do with that game. The main director's left. Final Fantasy 7 is in. Who knows when that's ever coming out, if it's ever coming out.
Yeah.
And it's just got me a bit worried. Like, what are they doing over there? Like, have they got their heads screwed on? Like, what's going to happen with Final Fantasy?
Well, it's not going anywhere. It's never going to go anywhere. Man, it's crazy because they're finding a lot of success on the Switch. And anytime you do hear Final Fantasy or Square talk about video games, they're praising the Switch and saying how much they want to get a lot of games on the Switch. But I find that the problem is, and I wonder, because it seems like they've always had issues as a company. This is not something new. When they left Nintendo and went to Sony bought into them and was basically financially backing them for years. And then there's a story a few years ago where they actually paid back Sony and gave Sony money because Sony was struggling, because all divisions in Sony was having issues except for PlayStation. So they injected some money into Sony, and kind of that payoff allowed them to start putting games everywhere, just not exclusive to Sony. Because that's the way it was for a very long time, that their games were pretty much exclusive to Sony consoles. Now, that being said, I just wonder, I've always felt like they've struggled, they've had issues. I mean, if you remember back when they did that Final Fantasy movie,
Spirits Within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They spent so much money on that movie, and it absolutely flopped. And that hurt them bad financially, put them in a bad way, but then they bounced back. I feel like Final Fantasy, I just feel like they take super long times to make games. I don't understand why the Dragon Quest games, Dragon Warrior, I don't understand why those games don't take as long to make. Like, it don't take them 10 years to make games. Mm-hmm. And it takes the Final Fantasy team and the Kingdom Hearts team, like...
Well, now it does. I mean, because obviously there's more Final Fantasy games than there are Dragon Quest, but that's probably just because it's more popular, right?
It's a little bit more popular, and
they started around the same time.
They started identically the same time, where you would get one and you get the other. And they're two totally different games, styles-wise. I just think that...
I mean, it's worrying, right? Yeah. You think back, 6, 7, 8, and 9 all had the highest Metacritic scores. They've all got over 90. I think 12 might have over 90 as well, but 13 was very controversial, very linear game. Mm-hmm. And I think ever since they went HD, like, they're sort of, I don't know, like, they concentrate a lot on visuals, mm-hmm. and they spend a lot of time, like, they had, I think 15 went through multiple different engines, and I just think stuff like that, like, the whole technology side of it, slows them down a lot, and the management like decisions with the games that seems to change a lot now. Like, it doesn't seem like they're in a comfortable place where they're saying, like, this guy is making this game, and they're going to focus on that and only that.
My thing
is just weird.
I don't feel like Final Fantasy 15 was a good game. I don't feel like it was a Final Fantasy game at all, number one. Number two, you start the game off, and apparently, if you don't watch the movie, there's a 2-hour movie that you should watch in prelude to the game to get the backstory and the understanding, because the game starts off with the king is just basically kicking the prince out the doors to go on this quest, this mission, and you're like, the hell is going on? There's no storyline here. Mm-hmm. I never watched the story. I never watched the movie. But I'm like, man, why is this not part of the game? And to me, it feels a lot like a Monster Hunter game, but it also feels a lot like a Xenoblade Chronicles type game. So I feel like that's what they were shooting for, was kind of like a Xenoblade Chronicles. But then the game shifts at some point, and it goes into a different style game. And that's not, I don't know, man. It's one of those things of like, it's not a Final Fantasy game.
No, it definitely doesn't feel like it.
And if you to me, I don't feel like this guy leaving is the end of the world. I think the problem is that they're announcing they're having financial issues, and I wonder where those financial issues are really coming from. Because ultimately, I thought, well, I mean, how can you recoup the money from Final Fantasy 15? You take 10 years to build the game, and you restarted in the middle of that. They sold well, but I don't know that they sold that well. But then you look at a game like Octopath Traveler, right, which sold millions of copies on the Switch, and you look at it and you go, it couldn't have taken that much money and resources to build that
definitely
game.
not. Yeah,
But
I think they do. You're right. They need to like just rein it in a bit. Like stop going over the top with the way they look. Make it more traditional.
Yeah.
I think they should go back to a more traditional fantasy theme rather than a modern. And I don't know. I think they just need to go bring it back to their roots and bring the franchise back to what it was. Like, 'cause it feels it's just changed so much.
You look at what they're able to accomplish with Final Fantasy, Bravely Default. Like, they're really games that are touched in history. Like, you could upbridge, you can make those games look even phenomenal. You don't need these huge, amazing. They got into this moment where they're getting into such huge, dramatic cutscenes and all this time spent. You don't need all that.
Yeah,
like you're just honestly, you're just polishing crap when you're doing it, and it's not like that. Doesn't make the game. The storylines are
what I've seen of Final Fantasy VII Remake, the gameplay that they've shown. It's not the same game. It's just totally different, and I don't know what purpose that's really serving.
I wonder how much success they had with the Secret of Mana remake, right? But to me, like, you look at a game like that, and I would go, "That's what you do. That's the RPGs you should be making." Like, you can make them even better. You can make them look even better, but like, that's the stuff you should be doing. And you should go back to the well, go back to a Final Fantasy game, and go, okay, we are going to start from scratch, restart this, and go, and see what happens. I would love for that to happen. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they are a solid company. I think they're
I mean, they've got Kingdom Hearts coming out.
That's coming out next month, or in a couple months, and I think that's going to help recoup some money. I honestly feel like they're looking at this and they're going, we're finding success with Nintendo. Maybe that's where we go back. Maybe we go back home and work more closely with them, with the Switch, because it's working. The games they're putting on the Switch are doing really well. I would dare to say they're doing better than they are on Sony things. I mean, I don't have numbers to back that. That's just going by the news I'm hearing. You know, like, Final Fantasy 15 was on a PlayStation console. It was also on Xbox. But they dumped so much money into that game that it's just like, oh, God. They could never recoup. They would have to sell, like, Red Dead numbers or Grand Theft Auto numbers in order to recoup the money.
Red Dead sold like 17 million, like, so far. Like,
and that's like
insane.
in what, 2 weeks? Like, that's crazy. So, I mean, GTA is still on the top charts all the time, and it's, you know, like, that game sold, I think they said like 60, 70 million copies or something. Like, it's insane the amount. So, I think that's the numbers they were hoping for with a Final Fantasy game, but honestly, I think it's very difficult to do that when you change the formula completely. Because what happens is, you change the form, and look, I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, it can't change, you gotta keep it the identical way. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is when you got a game that's taking you 10 years, and you have to recoup a lot of money, when you change the formula so much, you're losing a good portion of your fan base. There will be some people that'll just buy it because it's a Final Fantasy game. But when they find out what it is and they find out it's not a true Final Fantasy game, they're going to go, I didn't sign up for this. This is the style of game I want. I'm going elsewhere. So you're going to lose people. The goal is you hope that the new style picks up more people than you're going to lose. And it's obvious that they weren't able to do that. And that's sad, you know? So,
yeah. I mean, would you like a more traditional fantasy one next, like 9?
I don't mind that they went into the future, kind of. That didn't bother me so much. What bothered me was there was zero story to it. The story was garbage. Like, it was just, again, you had to watch a 2-hour movie before you even start the game to get an idea of who the characters are and what the hell they're doing. And, like, a lot of Final Fantasy games, and I guess the idea was they just wanted to jump right into the action out the gates. Where a lot of Final Fantasy games, you start off, you're trying to learn the characters, but they're teaching you the characters with storyline and all that. And I guess they felt like we don't want to go that route. And I think I would beg to differ to say, like, hey, maybe you should have. Maybe you should have taken some of that storyline out of the movie, implemented it into the game, and let people play through to get an idea what's going on. To get the relationship between the father, the prince, and the king, and find out why he's getting kicked out and all that stuff. Like, it's crazy to see. And you could have summed a lot of that up quicker. You could have summed it up in 30 minutes. You know, take a 2-hour movie, put it into like 30 minutes of gameplay to give people an idea of what's going on. That way they have a feel. Like, what you did, you just totally... And by the way, the only way you could get that movie was to buy the collector's edition. And, by the way, the collector's edition was limited, and you couldn't get it. So what sense does it make? Like, it's stupid to me. So I think they screwed it from the beginning. So I don't necessarily have to be... It doesn't necessarily have to be in the fantasy realm. Because I would beg to say that, like, that game still is fantasy-like, because you got creatures and stuff. That's...
Oh, yeah, but doesn't it put you off just, like, the whole driving around in the car from place
that's
to
a
place,
little different, yeah.
All the characters are dressed in black. Like, just the whole, like, that whole thing. It just bores me to death.
Yeah. I would, like I said, I would like to see them get more back into the roots of things. And just go, and I think they screwed up the Final Fantasy name because of the fact of, like, they delved deep into, like, doing things like, you know, Final Fantasy 11, which is an online game, and Final Fantasy 13 or whatever, or 14, which is an online game. It's like, what are you doing? That should be Final Fantasy Online. Done. End. You don't take numbers and put them on multiple like MMOs. Like, what are you doing right now? Or just go Final Fantasy MMO or whatever you're gonna do. Like, but that just made no sense why they did that stupid nonsense. But I would like to see them go back more traditional. Some way. Traditional doesn't mean you have to go back to pixel art, but traditional means go with the plot lines, the storylines, the old school, the airships, all that stuff. Like, that to me, the chocobos, like you're riding chocobos, like that to me is a far more interesting game than this stuff. And exactly what turned out with this. This is just, I feel like it hurt them in a big bad way.
Yeah, and like, just in the older games, the SNES ones, you know, castles underneath the sand, or going into the center of the earth, going to the moon, like these big towers that just climbed up into the sky, and I don't know, it just felt so much more imaginative than 15, you know?
Yeah, I feel like they need to find some people that worked on the original game or the original series of games that are still in gaming and go, and I'm not talking the original directors or any of that. I'm talking about, like, people that worked on the original game. You have to lower people that know about it and bring them in and go, okay, we want you to take on some roles here and let's rebuild this franchise. Like, it's crazy to me to look at the Dragon Quest stuff and, you know, and see how that stuff just continues down the line. And they don't divert that much, and they're successful games. They're more successful in Japan than they are in the United States, but that's because, again, two totally different play styles. It's a harder version, and only the hardcore role-playing game fans want to jump into a Dragon Quest game. So, But I don't know. I hope they are successful. I love Square, and I hope that they find success and they don't fall apart. I also think that the whole what hurt them too in a big bad way was the whole Tomb Raider issue when they went Xbox timed exclusive.
Yeah,
and they got so much heat off of that.
Yeah, and that was a bad move.
Yeah, and it really. I mean, it wasn't. Ultimately, I don't feel like it's a bad move. It's just.
I think it burnt a lot of fans, though.
Well, come on, dude. It happens all the time. Like, I think PlayStation fans made a bigger issue than it is. Like, if you like the series, just wait for it. But they got up in arms.
There was no confirmation right away that it was even coming to PlayStation. It was all like...
Well, at the end of the day, that's part of the exclusivity. Like, that's part of what Microsoft's paying for. But at the end...
that's a problem.
Well, I understand what Microsoft is trying to accomplish. And look it. Sony does it, too. Yeah, I mean, like, Sony does it, and nobody ever
but at least they're clear about it. Microsoft
Are they? Are they clear about it?
Microsoft wasn't clear at the time, man. They were like...
there's some times they're not very clear with what they do.
I'm just saying, in this example with Tomb Raider, it wasn't...
It hurt them. I think people made a bigger issue out of it than it was. It's like, come on.
Then why are you calling it a problem?
No, I'm calling it a problem because the fans reacted the way it was. They took a hit financially on it. It should have been bigger. Look, it's a problem because they shouldn't have, as a company, they should not have gone to Xbox as an exclusive, a timed exclusive on it. I understand why Microsoft did it. For them, it's a get. I don't understand why Square did it because how are you even remotely making money? Microsoft must have threw some money at them, but that's not enough money to recoup.
They recently, on PC, they dropped the price on Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider, like a month or two after it came out.
Yeah.
Just dropped it on PC, and people were up in arms about it.
It's ridiculous.
Because they're panicking. They're hitting the panic button because it's not selling quick enough.
Well, yeah, because they're hurting financially.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I don't know. Let's jump into what we're playing real quick. We got a few minutes here, and so let's go.
So
what are you playing?
Today I bought Into the Breach.
This isn't what you're buying. This is what you're playing.
Yeah, I played it today. I'm just saying that I've not played it for very long, but anyway, Into the Breach on Switch. It's a turn-based, grid-based tactical game.
Okay. Where
you control mechs, and there's these like alien creatures that burrow out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is set on I think it's an 8x8 grid every level. And there's buildings and mountains and all these different terrain elements. And you've got a certain amount of time, or a certain amount of turns to defeat all the enemies. And the enemy's main goal is to destroy the buildings on the map. And at the top of the screen there's like a power rating. There's like these little bars. And the more buildings they destroy, the more that power rating goes down. And the whole sort of game is based around protecting the buildings and keeping that power rating up. Because if they chip away at it, it stays down like permanently. I think there might be a way of getting it back up by rebuilding, but because there's these different areas on the map that are all connected, so they all share this power grid thing. It's just a really interesting game because it's kind of a little bit like chess.
Mm-hmm.
The enemies telegraph their moves before they actually take them, so you can plan ahead and try and counteract it.
Yeah.
So it's not quite like Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem, you don't know what the enemy's going to do next. You can kind of put your troops in place to try and affect that, but with this, it's like, this enemy wants to attack this building on their next turn. What are you going to do about that? And each type of mech has its own unique abilities with attacks and movement. So you can move and shoot on the same turn, but there's like different types of mech. And a lot of it is to do with pushing enemies out of the square they're in to force them to attack something that's not a building. So not only are you damaging them, you've got to think about where they are on the map.
And where are you playing this at?
It's on Switch.
Okay. I don't know whether it's the game itself or the way you're describing it, but it sounds very boring.
Oh, it's not boring.
I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. I'm just trying. I'm just trying to give you guff. I just,
You're so mean to me.
oh, it was
sometimes.
so wonderful. Your expression was priceless. You just got like, oh, it was perfect. Perfect.
I love it because you love tactical games.
No,
like
yeah,
Fire
no. Yeah, absolutely.
Advance Wars, that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I love Final Fantasy. I mean, yeah, Final Fantasy. Fire Emblem, and I liked Steam, or Codename Steam. That was a good one. And what's the other one? Steam World Heist. That was a good one. So I'm into that stuff. I'm with you, Toby.
Check it out then, boy.
Like, calm down, man. Calm down.
Like I'm raging.
You are raging. You know what I'm saying? You know, offended and stuff.
You do offend me.
Stop. Shut up now. For me, playing some Diablo 3.
Continue, Bobby.
Are you serious right now? You piece of trash. You piece of trash. No, I've been playing Diablo 3. I never played the game before. Really, really good game. Not gonna lie. Loving it on the Switch. Runs at a smooth 60 frames per second. Never dips at all.
What character class are you playing?
Oh my god, I always forget the name of this. It's a tank. It's not barbarian.
Might be a barbarian.
Might be barbarian. It's the second one down. It's not. I forget the name, man. I can't right now. I don't know. I forget. Anyway, if I saw a list, I could tell you exactly what it is. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't think of it because there's so many classes. That's the problem. There's a bunch of them. But what I love about this game is this. I'll stream it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are watching, and they're jumping in and out of the game. Like, someone leaves, right? And then, boom, someone's jumping in. And it's like, the fluidity of how quick someone can just jump into your game and get in there with you and start playing is so amazing.
Yeah.
And, like, I typically play with Rybo, and Rybo and I will be on voice talking as we're playing, and then boom, other people are just jumping in and out of the game behind. You know what I mean? It's like so awesome, so much fun, man. It's a blast. It's a really good game. You know, if you're into
it's a great game, and you know, it's the sort of game that you don't have to think too much about.
No.
It's just a chill game. You're running through dungeons. You're spamming your attacks.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, there's something about it that is just really addicting.
We were playing the other day, right? And him and I are, well, he's further than me now. He was, at the time, him and I were relatively close in levels.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like in the 40s or 50s, something like that. And we had David O, come and join us.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a level 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, level 3, and we're playing expert at this point. Dude, he went from a level 3 to like a 23 by the time we were done streaming in an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
because
jumping levels.
He's jumping in with us, and he's so low that, like, I watched him go from 3, 4, 5 after the first battle we did. Like, we did one battle, mini battle, with, like, these enemies coming after us, and he went 3, 4, 5, and I'm like, holy crap, dude. He's jumping levels like it's insane. Like, it's nuts. But because of the experience he was getting off of these bigger enemies, you know, and we were saying to him, like, just lay back, because you're going to get killed real easily.
Yeah,
like, you don't have gear,
just
you don't
stay
have
out
nothing.
of the way. Yeah.
But within minutes, he was right in there. Like, probably.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And that's the other thing, too, is, like, because I remember playing with you the one time, The Division.
Yeah.
And I hated it, because your character was so high, and mine was so low.
You were just ineffective the whole
I couldn't
time.
do anything,
yeah.
man. I'm getting killed every 2 seconds because the enemies are stronger and all that. And it's like, there was no way for me to catch up to you in a quick pace, where he caught up to us very quickly, and the loot that was getting dropped and he was getting was boosting him quicker. And they handle it so perfectly, how to do the whole thing. I love it. So
I've been playing more PUBG as well. We had a couple of really good matches.
The other night it was saying that you were streaming, right?
Yeah, I was. I streamed a little bit on Twitch, but the whole Twitch interface on the Xbox is awful because it has a little purple bar at the bottom of the screen, right in the middle, and it tells you like how many people are watching, if anyone's commenting. But the problem is, it covers up your bar at the bottom that has your health, your stamina, and
so you need
weapon.
all that, yeah.
So it's like you can't change the position of it. So I stopped streaming, and I ended up streaming on Mixer, which is like the whole Microsoft Twitch rival. And actually, that's better because you can choose the position on the screen that you want that information to be. So I just put it in the top corner where there wasn't anything important.
It's funny because I was watching you. I went to go watch him. Like, he's gone. Where's he
Yeah.
at? I got to tell you, man. I watched because the clip went on there on Twitch, and I started watching it. You guys are so. I said it before, man. You guys play as a cohesive unit, and it's insane.
Well, the funny thing is, what you might have seen, that was like our warm-up games, and we didn't do particularly well. But like on Mixer, we had some really good games that night.
Well, the thing is like, and this is what I'm saying. Like, you guys are, you're laughing, you're joking, but then all of a sudden it's like, when go time hits, everybody gets serious.
Yeah,
and
you
it's
dial
like,
in.
quickly. Like, at this point I'm watching, like, you're running, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're all in different areas. You're not even in the same area together. And, like, all of a sudden, it's like, Mike's like, I hear somebody. Somebody's running by me. Is that one of you? And it's not one of you guys. And they're like, okay, there's somebody come by. We gotta go. And then, like, next thing you hear P saying the same thing. And then, like, boom, P puts the guy down. And then it's like, all of a sudden, like, you're running over to Mike to help Mike. And it's like, oh my God, dude. It's just like, but the way you guys are talking, like, Mike's like, I got an enemy. He's north of me. But like, you guys are calling out direction and all that. And it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing to watch.
We had this one really lucky game, right, where we landed. We was on the desert map, Miramar. Mm-hmm. We landed in this town, and we had the whole town to ourselves to loot. So we all got fully looted. We had snipers, assault rifles, all the attachments. And I was in this multi-story apartment building with Mike. And he was in one building right next to it, and I was in the other building. And all of a sudden, like, we're on the top floor, and all of a sudden Mike appears in the room that I was in. And bearing in mind, there's a gap. Yeah. There's like an alleyway between the two buildings. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? How did you get here? And he's like, come here. And we went out on the balcony, and there's a little plank that goes across from the two buildings, so you can get from one to the other. So we were messing about on this plank, because the mic nearly fell off, and I was like, oh, I'll run across it. Almost fell off as well, because like we would have died if we fell off this plank. Yeah. Anyway, there's this door that's open on the other building, and I was like, oh, Mike, do you reckon we could climb on the door and then get on the roof? So PUBG being as dodgy as it is with the jumping and everything, I did manage to get on top of the door, get on top of the roof, and then we all ended up on this roof. And the whole time, the circle's coming in, and every single circle, we were still in it on this one roof. And we ended up right at the very end of the game. We're all on top of this roof. The circle's really small. The final circle was just a little bit off of the roof. So as soon as we noticed that, we all got down the way we came. And we ended up in the next building along. There was another team that was just on the floor outside in this little warehouse. And we were trying to get them because they were hiding out, and it was just this one last team and then us. And I was throwing grenades and throwing Molotovs out the window, and eventually the circle was going to trap us in this building. So we had to move. Luckily, there's a little stairway outside to get down to the ground. So I threw a smoke grenade. I go out there, go down the stairs, get to the road. As soon as I get to the road, they run out and shoot me, right? So I'm down, and it's just P and Mike left, and they come running down the stairs. They go out into the road. There's smoke. There's gunfire. The last man standing just manages to get Mike, and we came second. It was like, it's so irritating because we had such a good game up to that point. But it was just.
I've been playing a little Fortnite. I want you to come play a Fortnite match with me, please.
Yeah, I will.
Because you can cross-play now. You can play on your PS4 if you want. You don't have to.
Switch.
That's fine, but I want to play with you so bad because I love that game. I've been playing a little bit at night, like not streaming it, just jumping on and playing. It's so good, dude. It's so good. And this setup is even better now because I feel like I'm not like when I played it in the living room. I felt like I was off the TV and I couldn't do my aiming. Like last night, I was sniping people. I like took 2-3 people out with sniper. Oh, it was so good, so fun.
It's just satisfying games. These battle royale games.
Here's a question for you, real quick, before we end this. How do you feel about the big issue now with the Joker and Harley Quinn coming to PUBG?
I don't care about it.
Yeah.
There was one thing that annoyed me about the other night when I was playing. I jumped on. I'm looking at because you can buy like the crates with real money to buy those outfits. And there's one crate that you could buy with the in-game credits, and it was called the Maniacal Butcher set. And I thought, I'll check that out. If I want it, I'll buy it. If not, I won't. So I scrolled over to it. I clicked A, and it just bought it without giving me, are you sure you want to buy this? Or without showing me what was actually in it. It cost 10,000 BP, right? I had 36,000 BP at the time. So like nearly a whole third of all of my points I'd earned goes on this stupid outfit crate. And it's so cack. It's the worst thing ever. It's just like an apron and a little leathery mask. 10,000 BP. Like that's one thing I don't like about PUBG is the crates with the gun skins and the character like stuff you can get in crates. It's all rubbish. You never ever get anything good.
That's what I love about Fortnite.
The only good stuff you get is if you buy stuff with real money and it costs as much as the game itself. It's ridiculous. I know.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Joker and Harley Quinn, like $45.
It's insane.
Like,
absolutely insane.
Like a costume in Fortnite is $20, and I think that's really high money. I don't buy the costumes, but I'll buy the battle passes, which unlock other costumes for free.
Be £5 at most.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a joke. It's a joke. Well, that is all. Thank you guys for listening to Nintendo PlayStation Podcast. We will be back every week from here on out. If Toby can't come in a certain week, I'll bring a guest on, and they'll be on here with me. But otherwise, this is going to be a fun thing. I'm excited to be back weekly, although I don't get to see Toby weekly, but you get to hear him weekly, which is good. I know you guys are very good. And Toby actually showed up in Discord this week. You had a couple people, because you did your thing, you popped in, and then you disappeared for the week. You had people actually asking you to friend them on PlayStation, and they wanted to be friends with you and play with you.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll pop in and add people.
Nasty Boots, Aaron Daugherty was the one, and he is Aaron Daugherty. You would love him. He is really...
Doherty.
Whatever, dude. Whatever. He's from Ireland. You would love him. You would love to play with him. He's really good. So, that is all. Oh, okay, we gotta follow. Okay, so follow Toby over on Twitter at Toby's_take. Follow me.
Married Man Gaming on YouTube.
What is it?
Married Man Gaming on YouTube.
Nobody cares about that. What about, do you want people to follow you on Mixer?
Yeah, you can if you want. It's 4_eyes. I think it's PHW.
So is it, wait, is it, it's, what?
You know, like, whoa, look at that.
Oh my God. Never mind. We're not. What an idiot. Anyway, follow me over on Twitter at Nintendo Gurus. Please, if you're into Twitch, check me out on Twitch at twitch.com twitch.tv/the_Nintendo_guru. Please go check me out over there. Hit me with a follow. That would be awesome. Trying to get my numbers up as quickly as possible, but it's really
get it up.
Yeah, anyway.
Always trying to get it up.
That is all. Peace out, Preston.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Hey, Bobby, I got more. I was going to tell you more PUBG stories, but you're like, yeah, I want to tell you about Fortnite.
Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody cares about PUBG anymore.
Right, so we had this match.
I don't want to hear it.
I'm telling you anyway.
I'm done.
Right, so
no.
We're on Sandhawk, right? We're running towards. We're going along the coast, right? Bollocks, Bobby.
Your bollocks.
I have bollocks.
You're a mess. You are an absolute mess.
Ah, jeez, look at my.
Don't even try to act like your hair looks good ever. Ever. I'm
Well,
surprised.
yeah.
When are you cutting that?
Huh?
When are you cutting
well,
that?
I'm supposed to have cut it recently, but I've just not got round to it, Bobby.
You act like your life is so busy.
It is.
Please.
This is busier than your life.
Really? You think? You think so?
Does this look good, Bobby?
You have all this time to make psychotic videos, and you're gonna talk to me about you're busier than me?
All right, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I thought we were having a conversation here.
Huh?
I thought we were having a conversation here.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Of course, you piece of trash. All right, you ready? We're episode 9, right?
Episode 9.
Here we go. What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of the Nintendo PlayStation Podcast.